Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, well, actually not that long ago, because it was probably the mid-1980s, there was a little girl called Little Red Riding Hood. Actually, her real name was Helen. Her stage name was Little Red Riding Hood because she worked at the, well, it was sort of a barber shop nightclub. It was called the Clip and Strip. And her stage name was Little Red Riding Hood, and she dressed up like a little schoolgirl. She liked to wear her costume all the time, though, so. Anyway, she lived out near the forest. She lived in the sticks. One day, Little Red Riding Hood's mother said, "Why don't you take this basket of goodies to your grandmother? She hasn't been feeling too well lately." Grandma had been on a bender, and she needed a little bit of something to settle her stomach, and she needed something to calm her nerves. So Little Red Riding Hood said, "Sure I will. Sure I will, for a price, Mother." And off she went. La la la, fa la 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 la. Off into the forest. Now, along the way, Little Red Riding Hood came upon some wild mushrooms. They were so beautiful. She couldn't help herself. She picked a few and ate a few, picked a few and ate a few, not even realizing that behind her, lurking all this time, was the big, bad wolf. Actually, it was one of her regulars from the Clip and Strip. But he was a nasty fellow, a wolf all the same. Little Red Riding Hood was feeling a bit lightheaded, and she looked across at him and she said, "Are you following me?" And the big bad wolf said, "Baby, I've been following you for weeks and weeks." Little Red Riding Hood shook off her fixed her cape of red, and rushed off to Grandma's house. That big bad wolf took the shortcut. And when he reached Grandma's house, he knocked on the door. "Who is it?" said Grandma from her bed. "It's me, your granddaughter, Little Red Riding Hood." Grandma thought, "Doesn't quite sound like my granddaughter. She must be hitting the pipe again." So she said, "Oh, come on in." And with that, in burst that crazy, ravenous wolf of a man. And with one jump, he leapt into bed with Grandma. And I'm just too much of a lady to say what happened next. Except that Granny was gone, and that wolf was dressed in her nightgown. Sound familiar? Along comes Little Red Riding Hood, feeling a bit muddled. She knocks on the door. "Oh, Granny, Granny, are you up and about yet, you old hoe?" from the bed came. "Yes, I am, dearie. Why don't you come on in?" Little Red thought to herself, "Holy smokes, Grandma needs some hormone therapy." In through the door comes Little Red Riding Hood and says to Grandma, "Here, Granny, I brought you a basket of helpful things like Alka-Seltzer, Pepto-Bismol, and some Valium." "Why, thank you, my dear," said the wolf with the blanket up to his neck and chin. She looked at Granny, the wolf, and said, "My gosh, Granny, what big eyes you have. They're almost bugging out of your head. Have you not been wearing your glasses again?" Which to that the wolf replied, "Oh, no, it's my new contact. It's my new contacts, dear, the better to see you with." Thought Red. "But Granny, what big ears you have." "Quit fooling about my ears. Quit fooling about my ears," said the wolf. "That's not nice." Then Red took another good look at Granny and said, "When was the last time you saw a dentist?" And the wolf replied, "None of your business." Why, my fangs are just fine. It's the better to eat you with." Roar! Little Red shrieked and jumped onto the practicing pole that Granny had installed for her. Whiz! Up the pole she climbed, just in time too, because bursting forth through that door came none only but the woodsman and his axe. Actually, it was one of the male strippers that dressed like a fireman. Anyway, he bursts through the door, chases that wolf deep into the forest where he belongs. Little Red slides down that pole and skips merrily off home with the fireman pulling his hose and ladder behind him. And they all lived happily ever after. Oh, one more thing. Granny was none worse for the wear. She was used to rough and tumble times. She'd been around the block.